There are running backs who produce. There are running backs who flash. And then there are running backs who make the numbers look almost impossible to ignore. Ahmad Hardy did not just have a good season at Missouri. He ran for 1,649 yards. He scored 16 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 6.4 yards per carry. He became a Doak Walker Award finalist. He became a consensus All-American. And according to the research available, Pro Football Focus credited him with more than 1,100 yards after contact, 97 missed tackles forced, and one of the best elusive rating profiles in the country. That is not just volume. That is not just a running back getting fed carries. That is a player creating yardage when the blocking is gone, when the hole gets muddy, and when the first defender thinks the play is over. But this profile also has a real question attached to it now. In May of 2026, Hardy suffered a gunshot wound to his upper leg at a concert in Mississippi. He underwent surgery, was later released from the hospital, returned to Missouri, and began rehab. Missouri's program and head coach, Eli Drinkwitz, made it clear that his overall health outlook was positive, but the football timeline was still unknown. So this is not a video trying to turn that situation into drama. This is the opposite. This is a tape-first scouting profile. Because before the uncertainty, Hardy had already put something on film that National Football League scouts have to take seriously. The question is not whether the headline is loud. The question is what the tape already proved. What kind of running back is Ahmad Hardy? What made him so hard to tackle? What parts of his game actually translate? And what does he still need to show before the 2027 National Football League draft? That is the profile, and it starts with the trait that defines everything. Contact balance. Hardy is listed around 5'10" and just over 200 pounds, and that compact build shows up on film in a way that matters. He is not just a straight-line runner. He is not just a speed back. He is built to absorb contact, stay square, keep his feet, and turn a normal gain into a defensive problem. That is why the yards after contact number matters so much. When a running back gets most of his production after contact, it tells you two things. First, he is not completely dependent on perfect blocking. Second, he has a skill set that can survive when college space becomes National Football League traffic. That is where Hardy's profile gets interesting, because his 2025 Missouri season was not just built on open lanes, it was built on patience, vision, power through contact, and the ability to make defenders miss in tight spaces. He transferred from Louisiana Monroe, stepped into the Southeastern Conference, and immediately proved his production could scale up. That matters. A lot of productive running backs dominate lower levels, transfer up, and then become ordinary once the athletes get bigger and faster. Hardy did not become ordinary. He became one of the most productive runners in the country, and the way he did it is why this profile deserves a real scouting breakdown. The first thing that jumps out is how patient he is. Hardy does not always attack the first flash of daylight. He lets blocks develop. He presses the line just long enough to hold linebackers in place, then makes his cut when the crease actually opens. That is a National Football League trait. A lot of college backs win because they are faster than the angle. Hardy wins because he understands how to create the angle. He can slow his pace, force the second level to commit, then hit the lane with enough burst to make the defense pay. That is why his vision and contact balance work together. If he were patient without burst, the plays would die. If he were physical without vision, he would run into bodies. But Hardy shows the ability to feel where the block is going, set it up, and then punish the first defender who meets him. That showed up all season, but a few games really defined the profile. Against Louisiana, he put up around 250 yards and 3 touchdowns on 22 carries. That performance showed the home run side of his game, including long scoring runs and explosive yards after contact. Against Mississippi State, he delivered the kind of game that changes how people talk about a prospect. 300 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, 12 yards per carry, and multiple explosive runs against Southeastern Conference competition. That game matters because it was not just a stat line. It showed the full version of Hardy, the patience to let runs form, the acceleration to reach the second level, the contact balance to run through tackle attempts. The open field movement to turn missed fits into huge gains. and the finishing ability to make a defense feel like every missed tackle could become a touchdown. Then there are the games where the box score does not tell the whole story. Against Arkansas, his production showed toughness and finish. In rough conditions, he still created yards, broke through contact, and converted important runs. Against Alabama, the raw yardage was not huge because the game script limited the volume. But the traits were still visible. That matters in evaluation, because scouts do not only watch the games where everything is perfect. They watch the games where the offense is stressed. They watch what happens when the back does not get ideal spacing. They watch whether the player can still create something on his own. And Hardy repeatedly showed he could. That is the strength of his profile. He is not a novelty. He is not just a transfer story. He is not just one big game. He is a compact, patient, powerful, back with real creation ability. And when you combine 1,649 rushing yards with elite missed tackle data, elite yards after contact data, and a massive workload, the profile becomes very easy to understand. Hardy made Missouri's run game harder to defend because the first tackle attempt was not enough. That is the sentence scouts care about. Because at the next level, the first tackle attempt is rarely clean. Defenders are bigger, pursuit is faster, space closes quickly. A running back has to create hidden yards. Hardy does that. Now, the profile is not perfect. The first concern is long speed. Hardy has enough functional speed to create explosive plays. He has multiple long runs on the resume. Some reports put him in the mid 4.5 range for the 40-yard dash, and there are mentions of strong play speed on long runs. But there is no official National Football League combine time yet. There is no final verified pro day number, and on tape, the question is not whether he is fast. The question is whether he has true breakaway speed against National Football League defensive backs. That matters because running backs can win in different ways. Some backs are home run threats every time they touch the ball. Some backs are chain movers with explosive moments. Hardy looks more like a physical creator with enough big play ability, not necessarily a pure track speed back. That is not a flaw by itself. It just shapes the projection. The second question is passing game value. His receiving production is limited. The research points to only modest receiving numbers, and there is not enough public detail to call him a proven passing down weapon yet. That does not mean he cannot catch. It means the scouting profile needs more evidence. Can he run more than basic check down and screen concepts? Can he separate from linebackers? Can he be trusted in protection? Can he stay on the field on third down? Those are the questions that can separate a good college feature back from a true National Football League 3-down option. The third question is workload and availability. Before the May incident, Hardy had already shown he could handle a major workload. More than 250 carries in a season is real volume. But running back durability always matters, and now his recovery timeline becomes the central unknown. That part has to be handled carefully. The confirmed reporting says he suffered a gunshot wound to the upper leg, underwent surgery, was stable, returned to Missouri, and began rehab. The program said the return to football activities was unknown at that time. Coach Eli Drinkwitz said Hardy would be just fine from an overall health standpoint, but that the football side still needed more time before anyone could know. That is where the evaluation has to stop. No speculation, no fake timeline, no pretending we know how he will look when he returns. The honest draft answer is this. The tape gives Hardy a real running back profile. The recovery determines when and how teams get to confirm it again. That is the tension. If he returns and looks like the same player, the profile stays extremely interesting because the 2025 version of Ahmad Hardy had the kind of traits that make running backs valuable, even in a league that has changed how it views the position. He can create after contact. He can force missed tackles. He can press the line with patience. He can handle volume. He can hit explosive runs. He can be the identity of a rushing attack. That is why teams would not just erase the tape. They will study it. They will compare the pre-incident version of the player to whatever comes next. They will look at the medicals. They will look at the workout data. They will look at whether the burst is still there, whether the contact balance is still there, whether the confidence through traffic is still there, and whether the lower body power still shows up. Because for Hardy, the evaluation is not built on one trait. It is built on how all of those traits stack together. So, what is the National Football League projection? Hardy profiles best as an early down feature back or high-end committee back who can carry a rushing identity. In a zone scheme, his patience and vision let him press blocks and choose the right crease. In a gap or power scheme, his contact balance and finishing ability let him run through traffic and punish light boxes. In short yardage, he has enough power and leverage to be useful. In space, he has enough burst and body control to create missed tackles. The question is whether he becomes more than that. To become a true feature back at the next level, he needs to answer the passing game questions. He needs to show dependable receiving value. He needs to show protection reliability. He needs to prove the athletic profile is still intact. And most importantly, he needs time and health to let the football side become clear again. That is why this is such a meaningful scouting profile. Because when you remove the noise, the player on tape was not a fringe name. He was not a random stat producer. He was a real running back prospect with a rare combination of volume, efficiency, contact balance, and missed tackle creation. There are plenty of backs who run for numbers. Hardy ran through people for numbers. That is different. His 2025 season tells scouts he can be the center of an offense. His yards after contact tells scouts he can create beyond the design. His missed tackles forced tells scouts defenders did not consistently solve him in space. His transfer jump tells scouts the production was not trapped at a lower level. And his biggest question now is not whether the old tape mattered. It does. The question is, what comes next? Can Ahmad Hardy return, rebuild the football timeline, and remind the draft world why he entered the conversation in the first place? That is the scouting case. A compact, violent, patient runner, elite contact balance, real vision, massive production, limited receiving proof, availability uncertainty, and a road back that will define where his National Football League draft stock goes from here. The final verdict is this. Ahmad Hardy's tape still matters because it showed a running back who could create when structure broke down. If the physical traits return, the draft conversation returns with them. And that is why National Football League scouts are not just watching the headline, they are watching the film. Real quick, if you are loving this deep dive, hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss another scouting profile. That is the story in FootballRealm. If you love deep prospect profiles, hit subscribe and join the realm. Drop your thoughts below. Which 2027 National Football League draft prospect should be next?